We saw our humanity being shattered. The whole world is mourning with the people of Bucha.
What the people of Ukraine need most is peace.
To hear the news is one thing, but to meet the refugees, this is heartbreaking.
To see these children, to see these families and what they've gone through.
More people coming from the east who have never even traveled outside of Ukraine, so they are feeling very lost.
As a former child refugee, I fully sympathize with what they are going through.
I wouldn't have missed this on-site mission for any reason for the world.
We must never act from fear, but never fear to act.
The goal of the visits is to see how best we can help.
I don't want a person to be looking up to the mirror to say that, what a shame I haven't done something.
Let's go. The future is there. We have to grab it. We have to fight for it against the people who are creating this evil.
Poland is a country that has received already over 3.5 million refugees, and despite of some of them left, but over 2 million refugees are still staying in Poland because they are dreaming to be back to their countries. And as the huge number of the refugee crisis, which the European Union and European continent has never seen since World War II, it was crucial to be able to come to visit Poland. And to see the situation and to be able to negotiate with the government and also with the civil society, to be able to be a messenger to the international community.
We're here at the refugee center. And it's heartbreaking to see these children, to see these families and what they've gone through from living out their lives every single day, and then suddenly this horrific war perpetrated by Putin for no reason at all. You know, you can see this look on the eyes, like no idea what my future is, no idea how am I going to survive, what should I do with my children, and this kind of sense of being lost. But here at this center, there's extraordinary intervention. First of all, it's incredibly well organized. There's food 3 times a day. There's blankets, there's beds, there's pillows, there's a chance to decide what country you want to go to, what your future might bring. There's job opportunities. There's a way forward. There's places for kids to play. There's special rooms for families. There's clothes, there are baby carriages, there are the things that people need just to survive. And that, you can see, gives people a sense of hope that someone out there cares.
Well, I think this really puts into perspective, at least for me, what is actually happening. You can't live in a place like this for, for years. What will happen if things drag on, which I think it will be very difficult for the war to end in the near future. And if it does, Ukraine will need to be rebuilt.
Millions of people, more than a quarter of Ukraine's population, have now been forcibly displaced since the Russian Federation's invasion of Ukraine at the end of February. Displacement, poor shelter, and overcrowded living conditions caused by the conflict are also increasing the risk of diseases such as measles, pneumonia, and polio, as well as COVID-19.
In some ways I'm overwhelmed, but on the other hand, the fact that it's so well organized makes me feel a little bit calmer about the situation. And I feel that the people, everyone I talked to, felt that they were being very well cared for. Some thought they were coming back soon to Ukraine. Some thought they may not come back for 2 years or so. Everyone I talked to plans to return to Ukraine. An interesting point they said, the longer we stay abroad, the less chance we'll go back.
Well, that's in many ways that's a lesson for the whole world to see about the generosity of the Polish people. So I want to thank.
But we should know that this is not sprint. That will be marathon. And
yes, it's a marathon.
We should be
ready for the marathon.
Exactly, and then support Ukraine to rebuild this beautiful, beautiful country. This is our obligation.
It has been a very intense few days, and then in fact for Nizami Ganjavi Center, been very intense couple of months already when it comes to us acting on what became the large-scale invasion of Russia against Ukraine. When it comes to visits like that, now we are at the presidential palace soon to meet the president of Poland. But what we did for the past couple of days, we visited refugee centers, we visited municipalities, which are accommodating millions of Ukrainians right now fleeing for safety and freedom out of their own homeland because of Russia's invasion. So the goal of the visits is not only to see with our own eyes what is the extent and implication of that brutal invasion of Russia against Ukraine, but to see how best we can help, so that while Ukrainian men and women on the ground are fighting for our own freedom, our liberty and sovereignty as well, all those who are considered themselves as part of the free world, we owe them at least to do that.
Visit is to organize, to accelerate various forms of support, of assistance for Ukraine, especially on the humanitarian level, but not only. Some of my colleagues think they have some political influence, and if you tell us what kind of political support you need, what kind of military support is the most needed now, we are ready to listen to you in this short speech.
To the issue of humanitarian support and humanitarian aid, it is needed, and we are getting a lot of support from Poland directly to Ukraine, but also Poland is a platform for a transit for other countries who wanted to deliver humanitarian support to Ukraine. There are a number of hubs in Poland. What is most needed now is food and medicine. It's coming, but we still need it more.
What you mentioned and I mentioned before, this first wave of enthusiasm was great.
Yeah,
but now we need more patience, we need continuation, and for that your interview is so important.
And the idea in this too was not just to meet former leaders and to discuss and to have even a brainstorming about the situation and the global challenges, but to touch people, to try and help. And the combination of our group with Kerry Kennedy all together gave me also some hope.
Really grateful to be here with the Nizami Ganjavi International Center, which has organized this delegation and is our great partner with Robert F. Kennedy Human Rights Italy, which has put together this truck along with many, many other truckloads of food, clothes, and medical supplies on their way to Ukraine.
You'll see these all throughout Ukraine in probably a week and a half. In this box, we have about $150 worth of retail products in them.
You have to see the people who are suffering in Ukraine. We are suffering with facing to the extraordinary brutality, aggression from the side of Russian occupants.
So many people, so many volunteers showing such a devotion. It is amazing. It is amazing, and this is a great lesson for all of us, how to help, how to assist each other in times of need. As one of Bulgarian saying goes, friend in need, friend indeed. Thank you very much for your attention.
The point was that we wanted to bring up international attention, that it's not only the current governments, but societies and international organizations should be doing something. There is one message. We need a stronger UN. We need a UN, United Nations, and international organizations that they are really acting here.
Fighting against aggression in Ukraine, fighting for the future of this people, is basically speaking the fighting for our own future. And I hope that the only lesson that we learned so far is that we didn't learn any lessons. And if this is not enough to get in our heads that this is not about this innocent people, that this is about us, about our families, about our future, then we don't deserve to have a future.
How do we rebuild? We should be thinking now about how we rebuild Ukraine and the region. So just a couple comments on humanitarian pieces, and some of this has already been raised, but we do need a long-term sustainable solution on refugees.
Looking at the dates of the Baku Forum, I hope that by that time the atrocities that the war will be over. But it should it not be the case, our first task is to stop the war, to stop the bloodshed, and to protect the people of Ukraine. We, of course, have to be realistic about the fact that nobody wants to see escalation or perceived escalation and spillover of this war. But we need to make it clear to the world that we stand together with Ukraine and that we will continue to help in every aspect, from humanitarian to all the defense dimensions, because Ukraine is not fighting just for their freedom and for their right of choice, but for the principles of international law and rules-based order, and for everything that we stand for.
One of the fields where we of the Nizami Ganjavi Center, I think, can contribute is to continue fighting against the hideous, shameless lies that Russia and its officials are putting out. These denials of reality, these schizophrenic hallucinations about what is really happening, and the denial of the evidence that everybody can see recorded even on satellite pictures. They deny their existence.
And NGIC members have a special role to play. Even when there is so much division, we must work for dialogue. Even when people are violently pushed apart, we must attempt to bring them together. We must never act from fear, but never fear to act. And even when old bridges are being blown up, all of NGIC must try to build bridges anew.